It was before the festival of the Passover, and Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to pass from this world to the Father. He had always loved those who were his in the world, but now he showed how perfect his love was. They were at supper, and the devil had already put it into the mind of Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray him. Jesus knew that the Father had put everything into his hands, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. And he got up from table, removed his outer garment, and taking a towel, wrapped it round his waist. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel he was wearing. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "At the moment you do not know what I am doing, but later you will understand." "Never," said Peter. "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus replied, "If I do not wash you, you can have nothing in common with me." "Then, Lord," said Simon Peter, "not only my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus said, "No one who has taken a bath needs washing. He is clean all over. You too are clean, though not all of you are." He knew who was going to betray him. That was why he said, "Though not all of you are." When he had washed their feet and put on his clothes again, he went back to the table. "Do you understand," he said, "what I have done to you? You call me Master and Lord, and rightly, so I am. If I then, the Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you should wash each other's feet. I have given you an example so that you may copy what I have done to you." The word mandatum simply means command, and the Lord gives this command, which gives the name to this day of the year, Maundy Thursday. It is Holy Thursday in which much happens. The oils are blessed or consecrated, and these become the instruments of grace for souls and even healing for bodies. The grace of the priesthood is recalled, and promises are renewed in the hands of the bishop. The washing of the feet can happen also in the Missa of the Cena Domini. It happens in monasteries, and in some monasteries it happens on a weekly basis, on a Saturday evening. It is in the rule of St. Benedict. And the Lord himself, by doing what a slave would do, indicates what was picked up by the great saints of the centuries, that to have authority in his name is to be a servant of his servants. The giving of himself in the Eucharist is already an anticipation of the complete bloodshed that happens the following day. But the force is anticipatory, and the will of sacrifice is there, and it is still there until the end of time, for Calvary is present on our altar, and the bread of life is the sustenance of the soul. It's food for the journey, beaticum, especially at death. There is life in the Lord. He is the bread of life, and we feed on him who is life. But we do not receive him well if we are not in a state of peace ourselves, and we can damage ourselves by not receiving him in a state of grace and peace. He wants to come into a house of light and not of darkness. Hence it is that also the priesthood contains the means of preparing souls. Those whose sins you forgive, they are forgiven. And so the fullness happens on this day. Judas also had the fullness, for he was ordained at that moment. He was a bishop. The apostolic band is still there, and those who receive the priesthood are all over the world. But it would seem that that same devil who got into Judas attacks priests more than any other human being, because they are working against him. And so they are hugely tempted, and not a few seem to yield. And so it is that we watch. In the hours of Holy Thursday, we keep company with the Lord. Could you not watch with me 1 hour? And watching even until midnight, we feel the Lord's pain as he cries out in the garden, "If this cup cannot pass from me, thy will be done." And Catherine Emmerich saw that what he was seeing at that point was the abuse of grace and its worthlessness for so many souls who refused salvation. That was the bit that made him cry out, it would seem. He wanted that bit to be removed from him. He couldn't bear that such a price would be wasted completely on so many souls throughout the centuries. Many baptized souls are lost. Many ordained souls are lost. And it would seem that even not a few consecrated souls as bishops are lost. In cruce Domini nostri, Iesu Christi, in quae salus vita et resurrectio nostra, per quem salvati et liberati sumus. After getting to Italy, I carried the oil of chrism in the chrism mass to the Archbishop at that first celebration of the Triduum back in Italy. And eventually, not long afterwards, he used it when ordaining me. It was in the cathedral in Siena where there was a strong feeling of the communion of saints. And the first Mass alone was in a little church, very old, near Orvieto. Church of St. Bartholomew, and the miracle which is commemorated at Orvieto had been partly responsible for my becoming a Catholic in the first place. For what happened was the first Corpus Christi procession of history took place in 1264, carrying the precious relics from Bolsena to Orvieto on horseback. In 1263, a priest was having doubts at the altar in the Church of St. Christina, and we had a Eucharistic miracle which showed that the presence was truly there. It got me to think in Protestant days. But when one celebrates for the first time without one's brethren, there is no concelebration going on there, and so the miracle will not happen unless one is there. So one is a necessary instrument, a necessary bridge between heaven and earth. The Lord truly depends on one priest. I wrote these words after celebrating the first time alone. O Master, here at last I stand alone, with but an angel guard, and I thee call without another voice. This silent stone, laid by another age, this heavy wall, built on the faith of centuries gone by, thought not that they this miracle would hold, that we today in freshness bid here lie, in but a sound or two of magic old. O chalice of much love, where many came neath Calvary to catch the blood of God, in silence as it fell, the same, from hand to priested hand, here where have trod the feet of many that have long gone on. The change I saw not well, yet knew 'twas done.